Redding is a beautiful place, but it's also full of wonderful people. We have business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, all of them working towards a singular goal, and that's to make this a great place to live. I wanted to showcase these people, give their perception of the place that they call home. This is AllRedding. We're live. Hey.
Okay, hi.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks,
Sabrina
Joey.
Schmitt from PrimeLending. So thank you very much for coming in. I know
I'm
you're
happy to be here. Oh,
you have
and
big plans for the
everybody's
holidays?
busy. You know what? We decided probably a couple years ago that Thanksgiving's going to be at our house no matter what.
No matter what?
No matter what. Even if it's just the two of us or if it's all our family, it's like we're having Thanksgiving at home.
So do you have is Thanksgiving a big deal at your house?
This year, Thanksgiving's a big deal at our house.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be there. All kids, all mother-in-laws, everybody. So I'm actually really excited about it.
How do you do the turkey? Do you deep fry it or you smoke it? Or
I
what's
always do it in the
traditional?
bag.
Okay, yeah,
oh my gosh, and it tastes so good, and at least you cut down on the hours, and it's tender, and you can like throw in your veggies and all that kind of stuff in there. So yeah, works out good for us.
I got a green egg last year as a gift from my father-in-law, and we were like, hey, we ought to do the turkey. And then I started doing ribs, and I'm like, man, this is not as easy as it.
I really want to try the fryer.
Yeah. Oh, that's the classic burn your house down turkey fryer thing. You know the whole trick, right? Put the turkey in first.
Okay.
Pour water until it gets to where you want.
Okay.
Then take the turkey out, mark the water line, dump out the water. So when you pour the grease or the oil in, you pour it up to the line. So when you drop the turkey, you don't get the infamous splash and burn the entire. That and the other thing is don't do it in the living room. That's another. That's another.
Oh,
little,
okay. That's a good tidbit.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's what
maybe
we do here.
outside.
We educate
Yeah.
people. You know what I mean? And not underneath an awning. So you have a big family now, but you didn't always have a big family. You were a single mom, and you were on your own. And
I was a single mom, and I was for a long time. And you know, it was challenging, but the most challenging thing really about it was just the time management part of it, and trying to feel organized.
Oh, I bet logistically managing two boys.
Two
right?
boys, and they always have games. They're always in sports. So you've got especially when you're a working mom, and then they're doing sports, and then somehow you've got to cram in dinner in there. And you know, then there's homework. There's always homework. So yeah, just long days, and that feeling of like, I'm not prepared for, you know, dinners or anything like that.
What are some tips you have for single parents?
One thing I found a couple years ago was called emails. And it's an app.
Oh, e-meals, not
e-meals. Yeah.
That wasn't like a northeastern version of email.
No.
Okay.
And it's an app called e-meals. And what you get to do is you can pick out, and they're usually 10 to 15 minute prep times, but you get to pick out 4 or 5 meals for the week. So on Sunday when you do your grocery shopping, it gives you the grocery list to make these meals and the recipe. So you've already got it planned out. I could look it over with the kids and say, you know, what sounds good for you this week? But at least we're having home cooked meals, because it's so easy to go through the drive-through. And I did that a lot. And so at least by doing this, it was like, hey, let's pick 4 meals. We'll do something out for the 5th one, but hey, I've got it all planned, and then I'm not wasting food, it's saving money, and that was a big help.
Oh, I bet. So your boys were really active. What are some sports or things that they did growing up?
Oh, baseball, tons of baseball, both of them. Basketball. My oldest son got into football in high school, and so he was quarterback at Redding Christian.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was so much fun to watch him play sports. They play 8-man football, so it's a little different than watching a regular game. A lot of the offense would play the defense, positions as well. So
just a smaller school, so they have to play 8-man. Hard to dress up 11 people on both sides.
Oh, definitely with small schools.
So who did they play in the local area? There's not a lot of.
Well, they'd play a lot of the other Christian schools or smaller outlining schools. I'm trying to think of the one that was way out there, like Hayfork. So we went to Hayfork one time, and Hayfork, small school, but they all would bring chainsaws, and so they're outside the gates in their trucks, and every time Hayfork would score, they'd run up the chainsaw, and
Which is very welcoming. As a visitor, that sounds cool. I think I'd like that. If I went up into the country, probably want to watch Deliverance or or something like that to prep yourself and then go out in the country.
It was a little unique. It was a little unique. But yeah, they played the small outlining schools, Mineral, things like that.
Mineral.
So, Travel Time Paradise, things like that, where they had smaller outlining schools, but they had a football team.
Oh, very good. So baseball, basketball, football. That's quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And both of them play?
Both of them were very active. Matthew, my youngest one, he did baseball and went to All-Stars, which of course they have the All-Star games in the heat of the summer. So I mean, it's 110 and it's 4th of July weekend, and you know, you're out there cheering on your son and his team. So
now your kids are pretty grown, right? Like, I met Matthew. At least he's tall. I don't know how old he is, but he's tall.
He's 14.
Oh, wow.
And so
he's really tall.
a freshman at Redding Christian.
Oh, very
or
good.
not, I'm sorry, at Foothill.
Foothill.
And then Michael graduated Redding Christian this year, and so he's back in Massachusetts going to college and working out there. Yeah.
Very nice, Massachusetts. So he might use email.
Yeah, he's going to have to do something.
I don't know if that's a Massachusetts. Did I just kill the Northeast, or was I doing like a Texas thing? I don't know. So some of the services when you were a single mom, beyond just the sporting events, like the city of Redding has a bunch of stuff, and my wife gets the, it's like a little paper magazine that's around here that talks about like the various things. Do you remember any of the stuff like that?
You know, one thing I used to do during the summer, just to keep them active, because that's always a hard time as a single parent, pushing them into daycare while you're working, and then they, you know, want to hang out with their friends, but there's really nothing that they have that they're doing during the summer. So we used to put them into flag football.
Oh, very nice.
And so doing flag football at least kept them active, at least kept them busy, and it was something that they enjoyed doing that a lot of the schools didn't necessarily offer when they were younger.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's through the city of Redding. There's a term for it. I know that they do a lot of things at the Redding Aquatic Center, formerly the Splash. But I can't remember. It might just be Redding Recreation.
Yeah, it's Redding Recreational Center. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I know that they put on a ton of stuff. We've looked at that before, like everything from martial arts to art to music to obviously sporting events, things like that. So there's plenty of services around here. So you were a single mom. Before that, you were in the military.
Correct.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours.
Oh, you're very welcome. So when did you go in? Where did you go? What did you do?
Oh, well, I was 18. I ended up graduating high school early. I had all these units from all these different classes that I had taken, and so I went to Shasta College for my senior year in the summer and graduated early. And so then I was able to go into the Air Force right when I was 18. So everybody was going through their senior year, and I was like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm ready to go. So I went into the Air Force in imagery intelligence.
Oh, nice.
Continued with college. I took college classes during my lunch hour and after work at night and things like that. And it was a good stepping stone. I was stationed in Nebraska and Missouri, and then eventually when I got married, we were transferred to Japan.
That seems like a natural progression.
Yeah.
Nebraska, Missouri, Japan.
Yep.
You bypassed France completely and just arced right into Japan. How much of a culture shock was that going to Japan?
Huge. I mean, it's a different world. It's an absolutely different world. And so we got to visit Germany because that's where my ex-husband's family is from. And so we went to Germany, and it was really neat because it's a different country. Japan is just completely a different world. They have vending machines where that's where you get your eggs and your milk and your bread, and you just pull right up on the sidewalk and you get out and you get this out of a vending machine and you hop right back into your tiny little car and you mosey on down the road.
Well, then how do they sell Coors Light and potato chips if you can just get your bread and milk?
You know what? I don't know how they do that.
Did you come back addicted to anime?
I think it's more sake.
Yeah, more sake. Oh, there you go. Yeah, and that's not cheap.
I don't think they do Coors Light.
No? Did you come back addicted to anime?
No.
What?
No. There's so much of it all around. It just drove me crazy,
Voltron?
honestly.
Nothing?
No.
Nothing? Just me? Okay. So what did you pick up from Japan that you keep with you today?
We got a lot of souvenirs and a lot of memorabilia. One of the neatest things that I have in my house right now, though, is when they have the tsunamis, and basically underneath the ocean, when the crust opens up, it makes a glass ball. It's the heat of the earth hitting the cold ocean, and it makes a glass like bubble. And so they wash up on the shores, and it's only in northern Japan that it happens because the water's so cold there.
Oh, okay.
And that's where we were stationed. And so there's this beautiful glass ball that I have that's all painted with cherry blossoms and things of Japan that they paint. And yeah, I mean, it's thick.
So how long were you in Japan?
About 1.5 years.
You like it? Have you been back?
No, and I won't go back.
No?
I had enough. I'm like good. Yeah.
Island fever at all? You get that on Japan?
You know, you do a little bit. I mean, I don't think we drove over 35 the entire time that I was there. So that's a little different. I definitely going on the freeway the first time was scary. I mean, when you come back to the States and you have to drive on the freeway, it's like, I'm not used to this. I only go 35 for a 1.5 years. And then, of course, driving on the other side of the road, that's a little different to learn.
Plus Godzilla. I mean, he attacks every now and then, so you've got that problem.
We were in a bad earthquake. They had like an 8.2, and so we lived in towers, and we were on the 5th floor. And when that earthquake hit, I grabbed the kids, put them in the bathtub, and I thought, our tower's going down. I mean, everything was coming off the walls. All your dishes are on the floor. It's more the noise than anything that I think is the scariest part of it. But that's when I kind of said, yeah, I think I'm done.
8.2.
I think I'm good.
That is, I'm trying to think context. I'm trying to think of the one in San Francisco in '89, what that was.
Like a 6.9 or 6.8.
Yeah, 8.2 sounds insane.
Oh, it was. And all the cars, you could see them from the window. They're bouncing and the alarms are going off. It was quite an experience, and really not one I want to live again.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. So enough of Japan. I was wondering the island fever, because when I go to Hawaii, which I don't go very often, I always get island fever. I don't know why. I know it's totally in my head, but there's just something about like where would I go if something here? Like I'm just gonna like go inland more or something like that. That's ridiculous, but
well, I mean, I ventured out of the Air Force Base, but there's no street sign, so it's a little scary because you don't really know where you're going. And so they did have a McDonald's there, and we tried that once or twice, but tofu burgers with horseradish were really not that good.
No.
French fries really tasted like they came from the United States and took 2 weeks to get to, I mean, it was...
You were born and raised in America. You gotta get back to America.
You know, one thing I did love about Japan, though, is the people. There's absolutely no crime there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. If I needed to get directions somewhere, somebody who's a one-man shop owner, they'll leave their shop and they'll take you around the corner and show you exactly where you need to go. There's just the crime, theft, it just is non-existent there.
So you came back from Japan.
Correct.
And then did you come back and you got discharged, and was that it? Or?
Well, actually, I did my 4 years before we ended up leaving to Japan. So I got out, started having kids, and then married, and then we went to Japan. So I was a civilian technically, or a dependent by the time we went to Japan.
Oh, okay. And so when you moved back, did you come right back to Redding?
No, actually, my ex-husband and Michael stayed back because he was just starting preschool. And I went with my son Matthew, who was baby, I mean like 5 months old, 6 months old baby. And I started working at Title and Escrow in the Bay Area.
Why the Bay Area? Was it just because there was work?
My dad lived there and my stepmom lived there, and I was able to get a job in Title and Escrow because they were both in real estate and things like that, so they had the connections. And
how was the economy when you came back to Redding? Was it spiking at the time?
Oh, well, it was 2004. So, I mean, it was...
booming.
Oh, yeah.
Booming.
Oh, house prices, everything was, yeah.
It was like watching Bitcoin today. I was checking the price of your home daily was like checking Bitcoin.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's just like, hey, it doubled overnight. I got to do this a few more times. It's retire time. Yeah. No, I remember the market. I was involved in real estate at that time, and it was booming. And so you came back to Redding. Did you stay in escrow and title, or did you?
You know what? I worked at First American for a little while here in Redding, and then I went over to Bank of America, and I was an assistant there for 6 months, and then they were just like, okay, hey, you're good. Go out on your own.
Yeah, we need people on the front line. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and that was the whole Acorn time, if you remember the Acorn loan, and everybody was doing the good old Acorn loan. Well, of course, once the market dropped and everybody realizes, wow, I'm in an interest only and I'm paying $1,700 for my house payment, I can go down the street and rent for $1,200. And B of A owned a lot of homes off of that.
I feel like there's some kind of lesson in there, but we should just glaze over it and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should just let that one go. Huh. So, so you were working at Bank of America.
Yes.
And you're raising your boys and jotting around. So then what? What happened? What was going on in your life at the time?
There was a kind of a breaking point for me of working so much. I mean, I used to be there at the crack of dawn. I'd take the kids to daycare, or take them to school in the morning, and I'd go to the office, and I really would never ever eat lunch just because I didn't have time. And then I had to pick them up from daycare or from school, after school care, by 6 o'clock. So I'd get there at 5:45, and I'd get home through the door, and I'd have my computer, and I'd have all these files I was going to work on, and I'd go right into the office, and I'd start getting done what I needed to do, which was another 3 hours of work at night. And I'll never forget one time, I was on the phone, and my kids, I've taught them the rule of when mom's on the phone, you know, you need to wait. You can't be screaming. You got to be quiet. You got to let mom talk on the phone. And then once I'm done, then it's okay to talk to me and ask me what you need. So I was in the office, and I'm on the phone, and my office doors are closed, they're like French doors. And Matthew's probably 3.5 at the time. And he knocks on the door, and I'm like, I'm on the phone, okay? And so he kind of turns around and you know, goes away. And so I get off the phone, and I'm on my laptop, and I'm, you know, getting all my work done. And all of a sudden I look at my cell phone, and it says home. And I'm going, huh? And I answer it. And then outside the door is Matthew on the home phone going, Mommy, I'm hungry.
Oh, you're trying to make me cry, huh?
But
you know, like, I'm a crier, especially when it comes to kids. You know that.
But it's like, so that's how he knew how to reach me, and I'll never forget that moment of going, you know what? I'm doing this to provide a good life for them, and yet what am I doing right now? Yeah. You know, what am I doing? I'm not being a good parent. And it was like, put this down. This can wait. They cannot. And especially now in the later years of my life with working so much and being busy, they are so important. One of my goals, if somebody says, hey Sabrina, what's your goal this year? What are you, striving for? To make every one of my son's games. And I have the last 3 years. Good. I will not miss a game. And even if it's somebody who, hey, I gotta have this appointment, it's like, I'm sorry, I've got this game until 6:30. I can meet you at 7:30, but I'm gonna be busy from 4 o'clock to 6:30. And they're the most important things to me. And now they're older, and I can't get that time back that I missed. And it took me a while to realize that they're gonna keep growing up. And the demands of the job and working are always going to be there.
I feel like there's another lesson in there too. Wise, very wise. But you have a really strong work ethic. I mean, when you were telling me about how you graduated early, you were going to college, not I graduated early and I was going to parties, or I was, and then you go in the military and you're taking college classes instead of, hitting the bars. I mean, just so clearly you have this. Where did this come from? My
mom didn't let me slack. Let me put it that way. So majority of my childhood, from about age 2 to when she got remarried when I was 14, I was an only child, and she was a single parent, and she was a first grade teacher. And her job, knowing that she was the breadwinner and sole provider of me, she worked so hard to be the best teacher she possibly could. There were nights, actually, I slept in her classroom.
I was thinking, when you were telling me that story, I was thinking of Tim Ferriss. He's the famous 4-hour work week guy. Mm-hmm. I was reading a piece by him talking about, we use the term work-life balance, and he was like, no, it needs to be work-life separation. This work-life balance is a fallacy where we merge. And I think with a lot of the telecommuting and a lot of the teleworking, because I've worked from home, and it sounds great when you're commuting into an office, and then you say, hey, I want to work from home. It sounds great. And for anybody that's got to commute, like you're talking 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, right. That is, because that's a nightmare. What a waste of time.
It is.
But the reality of all of a sudden your personal life and your work life blend together, and that's not healthy. I don't know.
I have a hard time right now. I won't work from home. Good. If I've got something to do and it's work related, it's like, hey, I got to go into the office for a couple hours. because I can't concentrate and focus on it, and there's so many other things going on, and I need that separation.
So you're raising your boys, starting, building basically your brand, right? Because even though you worked at Bank of America, I mean, it's people do business with Sabrina.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Not just, you probably picked up some business, but you started. So what were like some of the keys to building your business when you were on your own, first getting started?
Ooh, keys to, oh, okay. Well, best one I can come up with is always answering the phone. Always. And that was the main thing that agents and clients loved, is that I would pick up my phone at 8:30. I would pick up my phone on the weekends. I don't do that now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The business is built now.
Yeah, but
so
building the business, that's what I did. I always answered the phone, and I was always available, and so they loved that and started using me. And then my husband now, he's the one that's like, sweetie, no, we're having dinner. No.
Good job,
this is our
Jody.
weekend.
Good job.
This can wait. They can wait until Monday. Nobody is going to die.
Well, I hope not. Lord.
Okay.
Over a home loan?
They make you feel that way, though. Like, I need to know this answer right now.
It's like the banks are closed. The rates are not going to change at 9:30 on a Friday night. Whatever they were at close of business, they're going to be that way until business opens back up.
Exactly.
Again. Yeah. So you did remarry. You're married now.
Uh-huh.
So you just got married this year.
Yes.
Congratulations. And so, but your husband's in the business. You guys did you meet?
That's
in the
how we
business?
kind of met. Actually,
Okay.
And actually, when we first met 7 years ago, we didn't like each other. He was a competitor. He used to work for Wells Fargo in Red Bluff, and I, of course, was Bank of America in Redding. And then we both came to PrimeLending about the same time, because PrimeLending was just starting in Northern California. And so I was in Redding, and he was in Red Bluff, and we weren't fans of each other. It was because it was such a business relationship.
Sure.
It wasn't until a couple years of actually going, oh, you like cars too. Oh, you kind of have a good personality. Oh, yeah, and just really developing a friendship before we actually was like, oh, maybe we'll go out on a date. Okay.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So you guys are into cars? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Jody's big into Porsche.
Who's not?
Yeah.
I'm big into Ferrari. I don't own one, but I'm really big into them.
I'm not that Porsche crazy. I love Audis.
Okay.
I mean, I've got my Bmw M5 that I bought.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I bought before. Well, maybe it was right when I started dating Jody. It was kind of like this was my big present of savings for myself, and I of
Very
course
nice.
had to get a 4-door because of kids.
Yeah.
So.
But you got the M, so
Yeah.
that if that makes up for it, that's
Yeah.
I bet the thing gets on it.
No. Oh, it's so much fun.
Does it have the paddle shifters?
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. It looks
Yeah?
just like Jeff's, only it's the 4-door version.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You
Yeah.
know, it's funny. And that was one of the things I want to talk about, because you said the when you were starting your business, one of the main things was just answering the phone. And
Yeah.
when we were talking to Jeff about business, he said just answering the phone. And I know I didn't realize with loan officers that was the way in lending, but in contractors definitely.
Yeah.
Or actually return the call when someone, if you don't answer the phone, then return the call. But I think the trades are, they're understaffed, and so they've got 10 people calling for actually every job they could do right now.
Right.
So, but I didn't realize.
Well, a lot of times when people want to get pre-qualified, or they found a house, or a real estate agent has a question, or they want to get somebody pre-approved that day, they want somebody who's going to pick up the phone and say, yes, I can get them in at 4 o'clock. Otherwise, they'll call the next lender.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I had to leave a message. Well, you know what? Let me call somebody else. Let me try to get somebody on the phone that can help you today.
When I was in real estate, the very first thing I always did was, have you been approved for a loan? Because you don't want to show someone a Corvette when they have a Camaro budget.
Exactly.
Because now they've seen the Corvette, you show them, then you find out they can only finance the Camaro. Well, now they're miserable.
Right.
Versus
right.
if
I really like this one though. Yeah.
Yeah, if they would have seen the Camaro first, they would have been happy. So it's
Right.
this, this goes into a thing I read the other day about the psychology. They did a study on Olympic athletes where they measured happiness, and the bronze medal winners were much happier than the silver medal winners. The silver medalists overall would fixate on the fact that they missed gold by this much, and the bronze medalists would be excited because they missed getting a medal by this much. So it was a really, like a peering into like human psychology.
Well, that whole glass half empty, half full kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put on some first-time buyers programs. I think you just put on one, right? Like you put on like
I
a
did.
workshop where
I did.
So who's the target audience? Like who should come to these workshops?
Mostly the first-time home buyers because it's very basic and it's walked through kind of that start to finish. So if somebody already owns a home, a lot of the things that we go over, they're going to already know, because it's really what to expect going through the home buying process. You know, what inspections they need to have, what they're going to be looking at with the real estate agent, why a real estate agent is important, things of that nature. What to expect being a home buyer and a homeowner.
And just like what the full payment is, you know, you have your mortgage, but you're going to have to carry insurance.
Right. Yep.
Until you can get a certain percentage down, you're going to have PMI
Exactly.
insurance.
Exactly.
But PMI, veterans loans don't have PMI, right? Isn't it?
No, and VA is one of the best loan products out there in the market right now, just because you can do 100% financing, no mortgage insurance, and if you're 100% disabled vet, then they are exempt from property taxes up to almost $200,000 with Shasta County.
Oh, wow.
Huge help on their payment.
Yeah.
But I'll have somebody come in and looking to do a VA refi, and they're 100% disabled vet, and I can see that they're paying property taxes. They just don't know.
Oh, wow. Now, there's quite a few services in the county for veterans, right?
There is. The VA Services Office, they can help with the homeless for VA. I know they do that. There have been a lot of times, actually, I've been in there twice, and I've heard them, you know, helping with getting veterans back on their feet or providing them temporary living situations. You can get a copy of your DD-214 there. You can find out about disability benefits. So there is a lot of good information, and the people that I've worked with there, very helpful.
When I got out of the Marine Corps, I'm substantially older than you. The economy was not doing good here, and I remember I went in and just said, hey, I would like to get a job. And they had a bunch of employers that wanted to hire veterans, and I remember, oh golly, it's been so long ago, but it was, you know, basically they're like, here, call these people, go interview right now, and I immediately got a job. But I just remember that was like, versus at the time I'd gone to the EDD, and
right.
it sounds so funny because this is pre-internet. Now you just get online and, you know, Google jobs, and it's like, there's 100 sites. And then I go to the VA clinic here. We have an excellent clinic. You know, the VA gets a black eye, so to speak, but it's ridiculous. It's just the media loves to pounce on any even perceived mistake. But you know, the Department of Veterans Affairs, I believe, is 350,000 people. Right. It's the largest medical organization on the planet. It has a overhead of less than 3%. And when you think about that, anyway, administrative overhead of less than 3%. When you think about the standard medical overhead, administrative-wise, so this is like, you know, not nurses and doctors, but administrative, is upwards of 30%. You said the veteran services was on Shasta.
Correct.
So that's a good place to, if you're a veteran.
Perfect place to start.
Okay.
Because they can help with any kind of medical records or getting the places that you need to go for the services.
No, that's fantastic. That's a great start. And if they're looking for a loan or they're thinking about buying or something, they can definitely contact you.
Absolutely.
And you offer the full array of like the VA loans and everything like that.
VA, CalVet, we can do both of those that are going to be veteran oriented.
Now the CalVet, what's the big difference between that and the VA?
The CalVet's more backed by the state of California, whereas the VA's backed by the Veteran Administration. I like the actual VA just because CalVet seems to be a much higher interest rate, just because it is backed by the state. So it's a state program compared to the Veterans Administration being a government program. So interest rates are lower, fees are lower, things like that for veterans. One thing I was talking about with the girls in the office, which I have a single parent who's a coworker, and also a coworker that has a large blended family. And one of the things we were talking about was things you can do with your family and your kids on the weekend that isn't going to the movies and spending $100 because your kids talked you into popcorn. And doing things that are free things but fun things that you can do. And so I was learning about Tortoise Acres, and it's in Anderson, and what it is it's a rescue place or a rescue farm for turtles and tortoises.
Oh, really?
And you just go with a head of lettuce and you can feed the turtles, you can ride the big tortoises, but really from all ages, from 3 to 15 are gonna think it's really cool.
Oh, I'm almost 50. That sounds cool. I want to go do that. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, it's an Anderson, and yeah, it's complete. You can actually adopt a turtle for $20 a month, and they will send you updates once a week and pictures of how your turtle's doing. And
Very cool.
And so yeah, you can kind of have a turtle without having a turtle in your house. But
That's a good call.
they're really, really neat people, and so everybody who's been has been really excited to go back, and the kids want to go back. But to buy a head of lettuce and go do something for an hour and a half and have everybody in your family enjoy it and
be active.
Yeah.
And be out in the community. Now, we live in this community is very good. And we have the outdoors options are huge. I'm hoping to have an episode soon where we have maybe some the local fishing guides and hunting guides come on and talk about how we're surrounded by nature. You know, and we have national parks in 3 different directions. And so there's a ton of stuff. We try to get out, and there's some really good trails for hiking with your family. With the little kids, it can be tough.
Right.
And our youngest is, he's not quite 5. And so he spends about the second half of the hike is on dad's back. But get out. We love running into other families and lots of biking trails and stuff.
A couple years ago, the kids and we went out to Whiskey Town, and we saw that they had kayaks for rent.
Yes.
$20 for
Yes.
the day. And so the next weekend, we packed a bunch of sandwiches, chips, sodas, and we went out there for the day for $20, and we all 3 were in this kayak, and it was a blast. It was a
very good.
blast, and just went around the lake and splashed each other with paddles. It was fun.
Yeah, no, Whiskey Town National Park, beautiful, and awesome resource to have so close. What about families moving up? What about families that, hey, they bought a house, and maybe they had 1 child or no children, and now they've got 2, and it's time to get a bigger fish tank.
A lot of the families that I work with, and they've bought the house when they just were married. And so they got this 2-bedroom house 6-7 years ago, so they've got built up equity. But of course now there's the baby and another one on the way, or 2 of the kids are sharing a room, and it just doesn't work anymore. They want to get more space and be able to have a dining room table that fits all of them. And so we'll help them transition to that new, bigger house that's still within their budget, but yet fits the whole family. And I love doing that because kids getting their own room, if they haven't had their own room, they just think it's the coolest thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah, it's about time for, we need to be, there's 6 of us and we're in pretty tight, but we've been we live next door to my wife's dad, so there's kind of like, do we bust out a wall and add, or do we move? And we've been kind of debating that for 2 years. I think we need to make a choice and commit. So that definitely, and if you purchased your house, even about 5 years ago, was the market still really low? I know 7 years. If you purchased 7 years ago, good for you.
Yep.
You got into Bitcoin at $400.
Honestly, almost 2-3 years ago, there's a lot of equity just because the market's gone up so much in the last year. I
Really?
mean, it's about 12 to 13%.
Really?
So people will come back to me, say they bought their house 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and they want to refinance and get the MI off. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be at an 80% loan to value, even if they did 100% financing 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't even think about that, just to get rid of the
Just to get rid of the
insurance.
MI and then be able to lower the rate, or sometimes we'll be able to put them into a lower term because jobs increased, or wife's going back to work, or something along those lines, where maybe we can get them into a 15-year.
So we've talked about veterans. We've talked about, the challenges of being a single parent. The logistics, and there's finance. I mean, I think we're in a really good economy. And so one of the things that we didn't talk about, but something that really triggered in my mind when you were talking, was that always be improving yourself. You graduated high school, and so you started taking college courses. You go in the military and you're taking college courses. And so there's like this balance of, hey, you know what? Things may not be perfect where you are right now, but strive, add just a little bit more, always be improving yourself, and there's always tomorrow. So I mean, I like that's a really strong theme. And the people that I talk to that are successful always have the same common themes. And they're the kind of people that are going to get up just a little bit early. They're going to stay just a little bit late, How many people will say, you know, in life, I'm just going to go a little bit above what's expected.
Have you seen the tidbit? It's like a YouTube video or something, and it's the Marine talking about the importance of making your bed.
No.
Oh my gosh, it's great.
Oh
it's
my.
about 13 minutes, but
It's quite a bit of instruction on the bed.
I made my boys watch it, but it was talking about doing one thing that you can do and organize your life and control in your life. There's so many things you can't control in your life, but making your bed, and I know for me personally, if I go home and my room's a total disaster, but my bed's made, it's like, oh, I don't feel so bad. If I go home and my room's all picked up, but my bed's unmade, it's like the room's a mess. And so I started, oh gosh, probably 10 years ago. It was like, make my bed every day. Even if I'm gonna be, I mean, it doesn't really make you late to spend 20 seconds, but even if I'm running behind, it's still, hey, I need to make my bed. It's like, that is super important to me.
Now, are we talking about like tuck the corners and bounce a quarter, make the
No,
bed?
no,
Or are we talking about straight and with pillows at the top, make the bed?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because like, wow, that's pretty intense.
I make the kids do it too. And I've called them back out of the car, like, hey, get back here and make your bed. They're like, why? I'm gonna be late. I don't care. You need to make your bed. You need to learn to discipline yourself to have a routine to make your bed.
So it's not just my boys?
No, not just yours.
No? Oh.
I do that for towels on the floor too, because you know when they shower, for some reason hanging up a towel is really difficult.
It is. There's a lot of spent energy in bending over.
Oh yeah.
When you can just drop the towel like a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, something that you said in there was things you can control, things you can't control. Mm-hmm. We're unfortunately, we can get really fixated on the things we can't control. And I think it feeds the cycle of feeling powerless, because you fixate on this thing you can't control, you realize you can't control it, and that breeds frustration. And versus, I think that's the opposite story of what you just said about the Marine making your bed. It's like, well, you know what? I can control this.
Right.
Wow, I got that done. I'm a master of that universe. Let me take that positive energy and move that into the rest of my day.
Else. Yep.
Versus I turned on the TV, heard about something going on somewhere that's going to destroy my life apparently, and golly, I feel completely powerless. So why even make the bed?
Well, and I think we were even talking about something like that earlier, where it's little things that you can do to improve your productivity or your organizational skills, like making the bed. You start off doing that, and then it's, hey, what's something else that I can do? I cannot throw my shoes off, in the kitchen when I come home. I can walk to my closet and put my shoes away. I can do little things like that to be able to not have life be so chaotic.
We have a mutual friend. This reminds me of, she offers free classes out at Shasta College, right? Linda
Yes,
Fitzgerald.
Linda Fitzgerald. Mm-hmm.
And didn't you go take one of her classes?
I did, and she's phenomenal in getting little things that you can do one by one throughout your day to be able to have the success or the organization and the time management that you need.
Because she is, I think the proper term is a high performance coach, right?
Correct.
So that's the whole point, is
it's to get you running at the highest level possible so that you're productive during your day at work, but that the kids get the best of you and your family gets the best of you when you come home.
That's very good. So, and she offers a bunch of different classes. I know because
she does. I think one of them is leadership classes. So somebody who's in a management position, having employees, obviously that's something that can be difficult to manage. So she offers that for management and leaders. The big one, and the one that I really liked, was the time management, because I always feel like I don't have time.
I think we all do. Anybody who's not.
I mean, there's been so many times I've looked at my watch, I'm like, it's 4 o'clock already. I need it to be like 10.
You have a watch? What's a watch? I have a phone.
Yeah, well, I have a phone
Doubles
now.
as a watch and a camera. I take pictures of myself looking at it. But she also offered some stuff. It's just good, like you said, good advice for everybody.
And they're free classes.
And they're free
classes.
Absolutely, out at Shasta College. So that's a good plug for our friend Linda Fitzgerald. So Sabrina, thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate you telling us about your background and the things the services that you offer, and thank you very much for being part of this community.
Absolutely.
So, and again, thank you for your service. Good.